has an element of financial risk and may be addictive. Please play responsibly and at your own risk.
This game has an element of financial risk and may be addictive. Please play responsibly and at your own risk. This game has an element of financial risk and may be addictive. Please play responsibly and at your own risk.
Mind focused, eyes forward, hearts ready. That's the players for this evening's India Poker Championship Final Table Series 2.0. They are ready with their game face on. Good evening, namaskar and welcome. My name is Peter Abraham and I am absolutely delighted to welcome all our viewers to the second featured final table of this season, the 25 lakh guaranteed double stack event. Yesterday we had 685 players registered for this event and thus have crushed the guarantee of 25 lakhs, with the final prize pool now being 27.4 lakh rupees. From 685 players, it's now down to the top 8 players who've made this final table. Well, to commence the evening, I am going to be joined by an international pro who is popularly known as the poker wizard in the international scene. And he is none other than Kevin McPhee. Kevin, welcome and thank you so much for joining us on this FTS series.
Thank you for having me again, Peter. I'm really looking forward to today's final table. We have some familiar faces and looking forward to some fun action.
Well, before we get into all those players who've made this final table and of course the payouts that we will shortly discuss, there's also the matter of what went down since the last time we met. So, Kevin, just tell us, November was the last time we did FTS 1.0. How have you been keeping yourself busy in the course of the last few months?
Well, it's been pretty slow up here in Canada. We still have a state of emergency, so you can't go out to restaurants or bars just yet. But I have been skiing a lot. I'm in Banff in Alberta, and there's a world-class ski resort here. So I've been spending my free time studying a lot of poker, playing some video games, and skiing a lot. So it's been a pretty fun few months since I last saw you.
Nice. It seems like a full plate with all those things. We're having a little bit of fun with all our commentators in terms of getting some reactions. And why don't you show us what your game face would be if, rather when you win a big pot after a showdown?
I mean, my game face is still kind of just my angry face, so...
There we go. I will enter your house and murder you and take your chips. That's Kevin McPhee for you and his game face for that particular thing. So he's got you right there. Well, the final table of this 25 lakh guaranteed double stack event is all set. We had 685 players registered for this event and the top 8 players have made it now to the final table. So Kevin's going to put his wizard's hat on and we're going to discuss these 8 players, a couple of which are familiar names even for Kevin. Up top, you've got Vikranth Varma playing as Born Trouble. Here's one of those IDs that I really love. And Vikranth Varma is leading the pack as far as chips is concerned. 6.5 million in chips, 6.57 to be precise. He's one of those players who's chopped the Millionaire Legends tournament on Spartan Poker for 40.3 lakhs. So certainly He's been at the big stage and he's got that kind of experience. Relatively young man, 29 years old, from the city of Mumbai, and he's got a stack of 41 BBs. And Vikranth Varma is followed by Manoj Kumar playing as Solder 9. That's a very technical term. I haven't seen the word solder outside my chemistry books since schools. But Solder 9 is Manoj Kumar with a stack of 5.12 million. There's not much that we know about this particular player, but he is sitting on a stack of 32 big blinds. So he'll certainly be snapping at the heels of the chip leader. Third name on that list is a very familiar one for the Indian audiences. It is, of course, Kunal Patni playing as Nuts Today, Bluff Tomorrow. Boy, all of these usernames, they're really getting it going in this FTS series. So Kunal Patni playing as Nuts Today, Bluff Tomorrow with a little over 4 million in his stack. And his biggest achievement, he says, is making an FTS series final table. I'm sure, Kunal, you're just kidding, my friend. You've done far more
modest
than that. Yeah, it's just one of those things that, he's such a nice guy in general, so it's not surprising that he says something like that there. But you've had the opportunity to meet Kunal before, right, Kevin?
Oh, yeah, I met him out in Goa during the PSL and then saw him out in Vegas. I've seen him around the scene quite a bit. Kunal's a very well-respected player, and it's really nice to see him at the final table. And kind of coming in third in chips, it'll be really interesting to see if he hides under a rock and just tries to play some ICM jumps and tries to get shorthanded and makes it make his moves, or if he's going to try to pick a couple spots to accumulate some chips. And we've seen some very unconventional ICM plays, so it'll be very interesting seeing how these middle stacks navigate as well.
And following Kunal Patni is another familiar name in two aspects, really. This is a player called Yudhister Jaswal playing as McFly with a stack of 3.9 million. Of course, Yudhister is a known quantity on the live and online spells, but we know him also as the husband of Muskan Sethi, who's one of the co-commentators on our FTS panel. So it's very interesting to see a bit of a family affair in that sense, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to be unbiased as commentators, but I don't think we can blame Muskan if she has a vested rooting interest here, and it certainly should be fun watching her husband play. I'm certainly going to be rooting for him as well. A little bit of bias here, but yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I think it should be sweet to watch him play.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. I don't know if we're going to be able to get Muskan into this particular broadcast, but it would have been fun to have her railing.
Can you imagine Can you imagine if he punts? Yeah. I wouldn't. You got your wife doing commentary on you. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
That would make some interesting conversation post the tournament. So I'm guessing that everyone's going to take it right easy and breathe easy, rather. At least Yudhishthir will. Following McFly is Prashant Pandagre, if I'm saying that right, playing as Prashant 17 with a stack of 3.15 million in chips. Again, not much known about this player except that he's a young guy from Bhopal, a 25-year-old. And Prashant 17 has a stack of 20 BBs behind him for this final table. Following Prashant is Sanish Chabra playing as Sanish 21 with a stack of 2.48 million. Sanish has in the recent past chopped the Gale Storm 3.0 on Adda 52 for 6.9 lakh rupees. So again, some big game experience for this young player. Again, another 25-year-old from Delhi this time with a stack of 16 big blinds. Last two names in the list, Ankit Omprakash playing as On My Mac with 1.08 million. He took down the Sunday Super Stack for 7 lakh rupees not too long ago. And this gentleman has been playing for the last 7 years and is also a player based out of Delhi. And last but definitely not the least, Shivam Khandelwal playing as IAA FPG is what he's playing as. 986,000 in his stack. And once again, in fact, 3 days ago, he chopped a feature on Adda 52 for 2.6 lakhs. So there you have it. That's the 8 finalists that's there. Kevin, right off the bat, 6 big blinds, 7 big blinds. These are like really short stacks for the two players down there on the counts. I'm guessing they're just going to be looking for a spot to get it in.
Well, generally speaking, when I'm a middle stack, the approach that I have is try to avoid conflicts with stacks that can knock me out of the tournament. I mean, it's a huge disaster if you end up busting before one of these 7 or 6 big blind stacks. So really the name of the game is to not blunder. As it is in a lot of games, you just don't want to punt your stack and lose your position. Obviously, as we come into the final table, we'll see the dynamics of it play out as the chip stacks change and as we get to see the positions of the different players of the tournament. So really, it comes down to just looking for the spots that you're going to take. If you are on 20 big blinds and you are going to look for a reshove, you better make sure you have a pretty good hand so you don't bust before one of the other players. But if you are going to target somebody, recognize that those chip leaders are widening up their game quite a bit, and you just need to be paying attention to how many hands they're V-pipping. If they're V-pipping a lot, you can get in there with some reshoves against the really loose range and hopefully take down some much-needed chips and move you up in positions. But please, 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 if you're in middle stack, do not bust before the short stacks. It's a big disaster. So the name of the game is avoiding blunders, in my opinion.
Well, words from the wise, Kevin McPhee, on making sure you ride your middling stack all the way to the final 2 or 3 maybe. So, and it's not going to be easy, I guess, Kevin, because, there's a lot of experience here. I can see from, the information in front of me that most of these players have been playing from 2010 to 2013. That's when most of them have started. And I think the young 20-year-old Shivam is the only person who's barely played for a couple of years. So going up against a lot of experienced players, I don't think these guys would want to, take too many missteps in the course of this final table.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, the seasoned professionals know their ICM calculations, know not to punt. But the seasoned professionals also want the glory, and they also want to play for first prize. They want those leaderboard points, and they want the medallion. So there can be two schools of thoughts here. Ones that just want to leave it all on the table and play for the win, and ones that really want to focus on the pay jumps. Now, I would think normally the seasoned professional would be looking for the pay jumps, as that's how we make our money. Right. But you can't blame somebody for going for the medallion, because you can only win a medallion so often. So it'll be certainly fun as it gets down to short-handed play, which is where the more experienced players should have more of an edge, and see who gets the edge in short-handed play and eventually edges out heads up. Because when you're playing for a medallion, I think the rule changes a little bit.
Well, fair enough as far as that is concerned. And, as far as the medallion is concerned, we know who's got his eye on it. I'm not going to say his name, but everyone knows.
Master tells me the FTS has medallions. Silver medallions, gold medallions, diamond medallions. Master wants the precious. Give me those medallions.
Before we get into the second half of that, let's take a look at the prizes that all of these players are going to be playing for. Everyone walks away with a minimum payout of 60,000 rupees, but up top there's a sweet 5.28 lakhs that the winner of this tournament is going to get. And let's not forget, it's not just the prize money that these players are going to be playing for. There is, of course, that 18-karat gold medallion that Kevin has mentioned. There is that to play for as far as the winner is concerned. There's also a game face mask and a special gift hamper that's going to go the way of this winner. And the double stack tournament will also have leaderboard points. So there is that much more to play for. Kevin, there's 30 lakhs, for the FTS leaderboard, and the first place takes home 10 lakhs for winning that leaderboard, with 10 players making the points eventually. Like you said, it's a cross between, or it's a toss-up between, going for glory or, just being very, very ruthless and taking those decisions about where you want to be as far as the pay jump is concerned and where you're going to finish as far as the FTS points is concerned. Do players allow themselves, the liberty of looking at leaderboard points as closely as, let's say, the glory of the title or the pay jumps?
I think that's kind of something you worry about as the results come in. If you get a final table and get a nice result, you're certainly going to start thinking about the leaderboard. I mean, 10,000 locks, 10 locks, sorry. 10 locks, that's a pretty nice prize for first place. And, you can't blame anybody for trying to go for it once they get a final table. Actually, the interesting thing about it is it actually changes a little bit of the dynamics of some of the final tables, because there's almost like a double layer of ICM. There's ICM for the actual prize pool of the tournament you're playing, but there's another ICM equation going on for the leaderboard points. So pretty interesting. And last time we saw Sushi do a deal 3-handed where he had just enough chips to cover the other 2 people, and he secured the leaderboard points. So it'll be interesting to see not only how the double ICM factors into some decision making for the final tables, but also potentially how it could go into the deal making as well. So I think players need to be cognizant of it, because when you're playing for that kind of prize, you just need to be in the mix to try to win it. Once you get that first final table, you need to be in there for every other event afterwards. Make sure you maximize your chance for getting points, so you can hopefully take down that leaderboard.
And how can we have a live stream here at the FTS without doing a contest? And so here's the contest question that we're going to ask you. Now the winners, yes, that's right. 3 winners will receive a ticket into a satellite to the FTS main event. That ticket is worth 1,650 rupees, and that satellite takes place later this evening, 9 p.m. in fact. So make sure that you get your answers to this contest question as soon as we're done mentioning it, and get your username, your Spartan username, along with your answers in the comments as well. So here's the contest question. For how long was the longest game of poker ever played? How long was the longest game of poker ever played? Kevin, any thoughts on the answer?
Well, I mean, off the top of my head, I remember something about...
Stop. I was just trying to tease the audience a little bit.
Okay, well...
Clearly, I should not ask the seasoned pro about some of these questions that our viewers are going to tackle, and make sure that you get your answers out there onto our comment section with your Spartan Poker ID, and we will be displaying the names of the winners later on in the live stream. Well, our 8 finalists must be eager to play and ready to take it down. So let's get going with the double stack event of the India Poker Championships Final Table Series 2.0 for the up top prize of 5.28 lakhs, and yet another medallion, and yet another medallion. Sam, do watch the stream. You'll know where you have to go to claim that. And so all of the players were ready to rock and roll. Let's get your game face on.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, the cards are going to be up in the air really shortly. Here at this final table of the double stack event. And alongside me, of course, Kevin McPhee, and I will be taking you through all of the action here. And we're also going to be joined by a few special guests. So make sure you stay tuned as we get this action at this final table going. Well, the cards are in the air, and, well, fold, lots of garbage around the track, Kevin. We've got some not so great hands to start the action with.
Yeah, it's going to be a little slow getting out of the gates here. We have a couple short stacks, 6 and 7 big blinds, so it'll be interesting to see if they're managed to double and survive a little bit longer, maybe secure a couple pay jumps. I know all those middling stacks will be waiting and watching.
Absolutely. And as we said it, there are a couple of nice hands here. Prashant 17 popping it up with his ace 10. Born Troubles, our chip leader, that's Vikranth Kumar. Let's see if he chooses to get a little cute with his stack here. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, Jack 8 certainly enough to want to see a flop with a strong enough hand, but you got to be a little worried about being dominated. And with all this ICM pressure going on, I think it's pretty fine to fold because you're going to have a hard time realizing your equity when you check call.
Absolutely.
And we see McFly here with the premium hand, Ace King, the big blind, and on my Mac with pocket queens, we're going to see all-in confrontation here.
Well, I was going to introduce our first guest for the evening, but we'll wait for this exciting hand to get completed before we bring him in. And McFly makes the call with his Ace King.
And the clean run out for the queens, so we see one of the short stacks doubling here, and pretty nice stack now. So,
well, for our viewers who are not aware, McFly is actually the husband of Muskan Sethi. We're going to try and get Muskan into the studio here to see if there's some fireworks that can happen. But in the meantime, though, our first guest for this evening is an actor, DJ, but more importantly for all of us this evening, he is a poker player as well. I'm delighted to welcome Siddhant Kapoor to this live stream. Siddhant, welcome, and thank you for joining us here.
Hi, Peter. Guys, how's it going? It's really amazing to be here. It's my first time I'm actually doing commentary for like a poker tournament, which is so much fun. Like there's so much like getting into like the whole head maker, green screen and everything. It's quite amazing to be here actually. And I've been seeing all you guys giving commentary. I'm like, chalo, jaakar commentary karte thoda Spartan ke liye.
Fantastic. That's exactly what we're here to do. Have some fun, watch some poker.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty good hand on my Mac's side of things, Ace-9.
yeah, one of my personal favorite hands, Ace-9 offsuit. And going to be a pretty easy defend here from on my Mac. Quite an interesting flop. Flops the second pair with the best kicker against the open-ender and 2 overs. It'd be pretty interesting seeing how a hand like middle pair proceeds throughout the rest of the hand. I would assume the Queen Jack can apply a fair amount of pressure here and get a fold. They go with a pretty large sizing on the flop, betting about 5 into 8.
Yeah, that is quite significant.
When the stack sizes are so shallow, I mean, if he calls here, he's going to have, 1 stack to pot size ratio. So, yeah, we do see him full middle pair, and that's kind of the issue with defending when you have a stack with about 5 big blinds there, or less than that, like 4 big blinds. So you can't really check call your middle pairs and realize your equity. So it just shows you how dangerous it can be to defend in these spots where the short stack.
So many pockets. Look at the amount of pockets that have come out here.
Yeah, it should be kind of interesting seeing what Born Trouble does here. He's got a lot of stacks behind him, and once he puts in 6.5, it's going to be pretty tough to fold to the rest of the table. We see a good disciplined fold there. I like that with 4 people to act behind him. I think that's a pretty aware fold. But McFly with a slightly bigger hand.
Oh,
wow. Wow.
There you go.
Oh wow! And we don't even have Muskin in the in the commentary booth with us for that.
Well, I think she'll be pretty happy with the way that hand turned out. We're actually tracking her down at the moment, and we should expect to see her very, very shortly. In the meantime, though, Kunal Patni playing as nuts today, bluff tomorrow with a pair of pocket tens, but no joy as he claims the chips from that particular hand.
Yeah, I think Kunal's strategy is going to be pretty straightforward. He's going to, kind of wait for the other stacks to clash, kind of relax a little bit. He's got the big stack and Born Trouble right on his left, so he's pretty handcuffed ICM-wise as far as opening wide goes. So I think we're going to see him play pretty conservative range, certainly tens under the gun, more than enough to merit a raise, but I think we're going to see Kunal kind of play conservatively and then turn it up shorthanded, which I'm anxious to see if that's in fact what's going to happen. Here we see the pocket sevens going for the classic reshove. McFly just can't call off the ace-5 suited. Certainly fine play from both players.
And speaking of McFly, we want to make sure that he sticks around. Yudhister Jaswal, we have someone who's going to do some commentary now. I'm going to skip out of the stream for the moment and bring in Muskan Sethi in just a bit.
Thank you, Peter.
See you, Peter. Thank you. Peter.
Well, here we see Solder
Sitting
9
out.
with an ace jack.
Is he sitting out?
Not much to get resistance from here for the ace jack. So, wow, we see the ace jack just snap fold in the cutoff.
I think he's sitting out. Is he sitting out?
That might just be the case.
Yeah,
I think that's probably a pretty solid read. Wow.
Quite a time to sit out, huh?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He would have got snap folds that time. So, it's too bad. I hope he's sitting out. Otherwise, you can never really be too careful, I guess. I don't know. Couple of pretty nice looking hands here. Jack 10 suited and Ace 9 suited. Ace 9 suited is one of my favorite hands to have in my flatting range. And yeah, we see he's very likely sitting out, just snap folding the Jack 10 suited. So that's a little unfortunate for Solder 9.
Nice position and nice cards for Patni for Ace 9, I see. I'm sure he loves this hand also at this point.
Yeah, the dynamics have changed here a little bit with all the short stacks busting already. So should be kind of interesting seeing how all the middle stacks approach this. They're getting quite short themselves now with about 10 to 15 big blinds between quite a few of the stacks. So
Born trouble with Ace Queen suited. I think he's got a big stack, a massive chip leader.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Oh hey,
God.
Okay,
Hello.
first, hi.
Welcome to the stream.
Thank you. You guys are doing great. What did I miss? Please tell me, because I'm super excited for McFly and.
Look at
nuts
you
today.
blushing with the husband on the final table. Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely.
Well,
I mean,
let me tell you, the husband has been in there quite a bit so far. So we had a big all-in, Queens versus his ace-king, which
Yeah.
unfortunately he lost the flip. And then we had the short stack shove, pocket tens, Born Trouble folded pocket sixes. And then hubby went with the pocket sevens. And of course, it always comes sevens. So,
Seven's always coming.
flop trips.
always coming. Exactly.
Oh, amazing. No, he has been putting a lot of work lately, and I'm so proud that he keeps putting himself in this spot again and again, and his results have been very consistent. So is Kunal Patni, who's been doing really well. In fact, on my Mac also, right? Like, I was watching the last two tables, he was hanging by a string. He kept getting those double ups just when needed, and see, today he's going to have a good payday. Also, Born Trouble is someone to watch out for. He is somebody who has shown excellent results and a lot of consistency. So, you know, I'm expecting to see some crazy action today, especially from McFly and Kunal Patni.
Kunal
Yeah,
Patni, always action with Kunal Patni around on the table, right? With his Hollywood and his snap calls and his snap all-ins, you never know what he has. You know, he's always playing games with people's minds with the timer. You know, I've noticed that also. So you never know what he has.
And also with the chat, has he said anything to you ever funny on the chat?
Always bantering around with me on the table also, you know. Especially also keeps changing his nicknames every year, you know, and he comes out with the most hilarious nicknames every time. So I'm just waiting for what he has in mind for 2022 as a nickname on,
Yeah.
on
Even
this platform.
McFly was proper net before, and he's not like he is not a net. So, in fact, a lot of people call me and tell me that how does he play? He's so aggressive. Why can't he get a little balanced with you around? I'm like, okay, relax. Let him do
Yeah,
what he
you
wants.
both have you and UD. You both have like very opposite games, I must say. You know, he's very aggressive, and you are always on the defense. I see you're always playing very tight. I've actually seen UD play a lot of tight also, but that's like he's got a very interesting game, UD. You know, like, and you always see him in top 10 and top 9 every time. You know, so he's getting his scores.
Kevin,
Just
my
found out-
favorite hand, Jack 10 suited.
Jack 10 suited.
Yeah.
Prashant 17 with ace queen, both spades. Let's see what happens here.
But yeah, Siddharth, you were right, whatever you were saying. He's got an interesting style. And
All in. Prashant
oh,
17 has gone all in. Let's see. I don't think
I
I
get,
don't know.
yeah, it's going to be a fold.
Yeah, 14 big blind reshove is going to be too much for the Jack 10 suited to call, but certainly can't blame him for getting in there and raising, especially with the chip lead.
Yeah.
But yeah, well done. How do you feel about doing commentary on your husband today? That's quite the interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually, I was expecting that because when he was running deep, and I kept asking him, okay, how many left, this, that, and then he's like, okay, 30 left, 20 left, and then he's like, okay, 8 left. I'm on the FT. I was like, oh my God, I knew you're going to be one day. I will commentate on you over this week. But yeah, again.
We see Soldier, he's not sitting out anymore and he's back. And we've seen a shove from On My Mac. I'm sure we're going to get a pocket sixes call over here. What do you think?
I think it might be a little bit too much for the sixes to call here. I mean, you still got a lot of navigation room with 16 big blinds, and you have 1 8 big blind stack.
Nice.
I don't think he's really shoving fives or worse there, so you're really flipping at best.
Yeah.
So I can't really blame him for folding sixes. You got to be pretty careful with those
Good fold, yeah.
small
good
and
fold.
middling pocket pairs on these final tables.
Yeah.
And you will be surprised to know so many of them satellite their way to these tournaments. Like yesterday, we had someone, Prague 27, who actually satellited from $600, and he had a huge payday yesterday. So it's so incredible how like their journey, and you have to see like what goes down when 3-4 left. So when I was wishing Kunal Patni good luck today, a lot of people are like, you gave me a bad beat, that's why you're there today. you're on the FT. So it's so much fun. I can't wait to ask Kunal, what did he do to who? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's just one of those players, kind of like what you were mentioning before. He's consistently putting himself in the position where he can be lucky. He's going deep in things, and when you're consistently going deep, it's just a matter of time before you get a nice result. Well, looks like we're going to see an all-in confrontation here.
Yeah.
Fireworks.
Fireworks for sure. And it's the same on my Mac that he got an ace-king against queens earlier. But yeah, pretty slam dunk shove here. Taking the socks and shoes off and throwing them in the pot too.
Just a little ahead with the suited ace king, I see. There you go. Fireworks. Here we go.
Whoa!
Oh, Lord. That is so sick. Oh, God. Did that just happen?
Can we repeat that? Oh my God. We need a replay.
Oh my Lord.
How do you react to that on live stream? Like, comment, what do you say to that? That's really bad luck. Oh,
man,
God.
that is just brutal. Running out
On my Mac.
GG.
On my Mac is very, very lucky there, I must say.
GG.
Hard
Well
luck, Yuri.
played.
Good game.
Yes.
Good game, Yuri. Wow, that was, I don't know, I'm just still in shock. It's my first time I'm doing commentary on that hand.
Wow.
Kevin, say something to me.
My condolences. That is just dirty. That is dirty.
He was so close to winning the crown, and everyone was so excited. Oh, we're gonna who's gonna win the crown? And I was like, if Yuri wins it, I am gonna keep it and wear it around in the house. And he was so close. And today, also in the morning, I told him, if this medallion comes home, I'm keeping it in my gaming room. He's like, yeah, okay, just let me win first. So don't worry, I'm gonna be home soon, and I'll console him. But
that was really
well
bad. That was really bad. It was just Texas Hold'em poker, it happens.
Yeah, I guess, as poker players, we are so numb to these situations, especially this one kind of tests you. But still, I hope he took it well. And, I'm sure he's going to be happy that, he's consistently making final tables. Look at this.
But that one's going to sting,
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often, especially at a big flagship final table. So hopefully we'll see him weather the storm and come back for another final table and accumulate even more leaderboard points as well, because he's with his 6th place finish, he's locked up some nice leaderboard points here.
I've been watching on my Mac getting double ups from 5 big blinds, and then 10, and then now, look at him, he's in charge now, right? So these are the kind of stories you want to see on a final table. And we just saw him 3-bet bond trouble because he just realizes that he's going to open such a wide range of hands, so he's already trying to punish him. And yeah, it'll be
and
interesting to see.
On my
Good
Mac
read.
came in as the
Good
extreme
read.
short stack here too, so they probably don't know how he navigates with a big stack in these sort of situations. You know, leading up to the final table, I would assume that he was probably riding it pretty shallow.
Yeah.
Came in with only about 7 big blinds, so to run 7 big blinds up to 40 and become overwhelming chip leader 6-handed is pretty impressive. But that's again what I was saying. You just want to get deep in these tournaments, survive.
I don't know how
Put
long.
yourself in a position where you can get lucky. That's
Yeah.
really what you can do. The results, the runouts, you can't control. You can control your decisions,
Wow.
and then you kind of learn to live with the rest. Oh,
What
wow.
a beautiful flop for Born Trouble. Wow. That's like a dream flop for that hand. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We see, this was a raised pot, right? So we see the 10-4 suited defending here, whereas we saw some other hands choosing not to defend at the final table, kind of realizing that
Okay.
you can't really check call with such ICM pressures. But I think the ICM pressure is off them a little bit. We do have 1 6 big blind stack though, so they do need to sort of wait out that 6 big blind stack. So I think we're going to see some pretty conservative play for a bit. But you know, I'm
So,
never.
Here we
Never
have
not
the. Sorry for interrupting you, Kevin. We are going to show the last bust out right now. Let's have a look. It was McFly for 86,858 rupees.
Very unlucky.
And well played, McFly. Don't tell baby.
We have pocket sevens raising over here, where Patni has just checked his 10 pair. Patni can be cheeky like this, you know. He can
Yeah.
always be very cheeky. He's a very cheeky player, Kunal Patni, which always is 80% to his advantage with his cheeky check raises and calls that he makes on like the best hands. You know, you can never read him.
Yeah.
Now the sevens picks up a flush draw here. I think there's probably a lot of merit in checking back here and just trying to realize your equity against ace highs and get your free hard draw. I don't see much point in betting here, but we do see a bet.
Yeah.
Born Trouble can play very aggressive. I've played quite a lot with him, and he goes berserk sometimes, you know, playing aggressive.
I guess the worry here would be if the ace high has a higher heart than you want to make sure to charge them. But there's so much 10x and maybe not so much deuce x, but so much 10x in Kunal's
Well
range
played.
that-
Well played, Kunal Patni.
And Kunal doesn't let go and takes down a pretty nice pot. So we are seeing him pick his spots quite well. Certainly a well-respected pro.
You guys would be surprised. I have these guys, graphs, Shark Scope, and everything open here. So Born Trouble and Sanish 21 are players who've got the maximum volume. Like they've played tournaments which are like 1800 to 1200 tournaments, and all the other guys are like 300, 200, 600 tournaments, you know? So these are two guys who are so, they are regs, and they've been consistently making final tables. So their end game obviously will be strong, and we should watch out for these players.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot with Sanish 21, a lot with Born Trouble in different on different sides, and they're always there. They're playing the really low buy-ins, the high buy-ins, the satellites, and I'm seeing them everywhere. And even I wonder how much volume does Patni put inside also, you know, and could you just tell us that, Muskan, please?
286 tournaments on Spartan.
That's also quite big. It's a big number.
Sanish Chabra, he's from Delhi, 25 years old. That's very impressive. You know, all these young boys are able to put so much volume. Even Ash Grover, remember, like when he started off his career? Oh my God, that boy. Even Raghav Bansal, when he started off. There's so many of these players, like when they were just 18, 17, all they used to do is like multi-table, play like 25 tables. And last time when we had Nano Noko, he was like the most epic example of someone who can...
Randy, I used to watch. He's one of the first players I used to watch on stream, you know, and they used to have like so many windows and. I'm like,
Kevin,
my God.
Kevin, I think Patni changed his name, so that's why we don't have his full count. of the
So you don't
tournament.
have his full tournament count because he does that thing where he changes his screen name every
Yeah.
year.
Why do players do that though?
I
Is it
mean,
like
if you can, why not? You know,
Yeah.
certainly it's an advantage if you can destroy people's database of information on you. And just for random players that maybe you remember playing with your old screen name and all of a sudden they're playing with your new screen name, you know, your friends might know who your new screen name is, but the random players won't. So I think it's probably a pretty big advantage. You know, I always played under I'm a Lucksack back in the day on PokerStars.
Oh
and
yeah, I remember.
my best friend's name was also I'm a Lucksack, and we were just one letter apart.
And you had
so
like
it was
a
very
hat.
confusing for people.
You had a hat
Yeah,
as your display picture, right?
yeah, wizard hat. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
remember.
But it was always so confusing for people. They never knew which one of us was which. We must have had the most investigated account in the history of PokerStars because of all the emails they must have got about us.
Best was there was this guy, Crown Up Guy, and then there was Crown Up Gay. And even Crown Up Gay used to run so deep, and then, like, I'm sure he didn't realize that. You know, that was really funny.
Some funny names out there, screen names.
Yeah. So he was just, I'm sure, like a friend of Fedor, I'm sure.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Wow, Sanish getting in here with the 10-4 suited. And he's got a couple shoves through here. I mean, you can see the ICM pressure is really off the short stack, and he's able to jam it in. He got a 6 big blind shove through earlier to jack 10 off, and a little bit loose of a shove with the 10-4 suited there. But
There you go, fireworks for sure now.
yeah, we're going to see an all-in confrontation here.
Hollywood came out. So it's showing some Hollywood over here, yeah?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, he didn't push. Ace King.
Yeah, they do these sneaky things, you know.
Yeah,
Leave a
not
big
going to go
blind.
all in and just like leave it a little bit behind.
Oh, nice hand.
Oh, tens, Sanish, nice hand. Guess that worked for him.
Ace King isn't working out so great so far at this final table. Well, unless it's suited, I guess.
Kevin, do you take Ace King or Queens?
What was that?
Ace King versus Queens, which hand would you take?
Oh, I always prefer the pair. I like the made hand. It's hard to make pairs, you know? I always take the queens. Although queens must be one of my biggest losing hands of all time.
Fine, then
Honestly.
I'll take Ace King.
Okay. You take the ace king. You can even be suited. I'll let you be suited.
Thanks.
Sanish getting lucky with back-to-back hands and stealing some blinds here. It's got 20 plus picks now. Ace 10 suited. For Soldier, maybe pushing all in. You never know.
Yeah, it certainly seems with 7 big blinds, he's got one play, and that's going to be all in. We're going to see some snap folds from these garbage hands, and
Yeah,
the blinds
he's-
increasing here. You know, we have one stack, Prashant 17 with sub 10 big blinds now. So the pressure is really getting on these guys. I mean, it just goes to show you can hide behind a rock and try to get these ICM jumps, but you're also going to get chewed up by the blinds. So it is a fickle dance, you know.
Yeah, and also I feel like when you're super short, you get so you tighten up thinking that, you know, okay, there's not much fold equity, whereas you don't realize there's so much incentive for the chip leader to have a short stack on the table, and you know they let you chip up instead of either busting you or doubling you up, and that's a really interesting dynamic I've seen on few final tables.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good point. You know, the big stacks, if they have an extreme micro stack, they're not really wanting to call because then they give up all of the ICM pressure that they can exert on the table. So, and then the middling stacks, they don't really want to call because they don't want to lose the all-in
Yeah.
and then have it flip on them where now they're the short stack. So really, you know, when the ICM pressure is off, it's even more than that. Like you can potentially even find spots to shove a little bit looser, like we saw with 10-4 suited. And that was pretty aware of Sanish 21 there.
Yeah.
To take advantage of that situation.
Straight for on my Mac.
Yeah, dummy end of the straight, and we did see a check back there on the turn from Born Trouble, which I'm a pretty big fan of when you pick up equity at the backdoor flush draws. I do like checking those sort of hands back. You don't want to bet and fold and then have to destroy your equity.
100%.
But we do see him go for it on the river. I mean, certainly when you get to the river with Queen 5 high, pretty reasonable bluffing candidate, and we're just never going to see a fold from the dummy end of the straight in that spot.
Sanish is going to defend this. Come on, fight, Patni.
Patni.
Well, Kunal has a lot of people rooting for him right now.
He always does have a lot of people rooting for him. You know, there's something about Kunal Patni that everyone's always like, Patni. I mean, he's a straight lad. He's a great poker player, and he's always helping out people, you know, for poker and giving them knowledge and
100%. He has such a good aura, and when you're around him, like, you feel it. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. He's a really great guy.
And he needs a jack right now. Sorry.
He's a genuinely nice guy and a very good player. And honestly, I think he has quite a bit of swagger too. So when you have somebody who is talented and confident and also a nice person, how can you not root for him? I mean, he's a great guy.
What do you think, Jack on the river?
That's what.
Nah. Dead card.
A lot of draws missed though, you know.
A lot of draws.
A lot of draws missed. All the Jack 9s and King Jacks and diamonds.
Would you like Sanish to donk bet here? Oh.
Yeah, I think I'd probably just go somewhere between third and half pot here. And we do see about a third pot. Yeah, I like that size. The thing is, you kind of want to price it in such a way that the ace highs think about calling, because he raised from early position, check back, turn, and it's just like feels like that's a lot of ace high. So when you size your top pair here, you don't really want to go too big, because you want to get called by the hands that check back. I mean, his queen X are probably going to be double barreling, so you want to get called by a 10, you want to get called by some pocket pair or ace high, so you want to make it really small. We do see Kunal lay down the ace king there, which I think is a pretty disciplined fold. That's, I think a lot of people could find pretty good excuse to call there.
Yeah. And I like your point of like betting small there, because when you bet so big, or we try to polarize the situation by betting pot or over pot there, only better is calling. So and worse are folding. So we're really not making money unless we put a small bet out there.
Wow.
Called it.
Wow. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's pretty standard hand. When he reshoves the ace jack there, I mean, getting a pretty good price at the king jack. You're a little bit worried about being dominated, of course, but with that price, I think that you can't really fault him too much for folding there. But yeah, back to what you were saying about that ace king hand. You know, in other stages of the tournaments, maybe you could play around with some overbets there on the river, because once he checks back the turn, he's pretty capped. You know, he doesn't really have a lot of top range hands. So your bluffs can overbet, and you can overbet some top pairs. But that's in a different stage of the tournament. You know, when you have the ICM pressures going on here, I don't really think there's going to be much overbetting strategies. There's going to be a lot of betting small because of the ICM pressures, you know. So at a different stage of the tournament, maybe you could overbet there and like play some mind games with your opponent, but that kind of stuff just doesn't work at the final table, in my opinion.
Thank you. I have a question for Siddhant. I was talking to him earlier also. I was like, how does your dad react to you playing poker? And I thought it was such an interesting answer. Or maybe generally your family. I guess your mom is your big fan. She supports you. So why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, you know, it's very important to make them realize that it's a game of skill, like more game of skill, you know. But in the end, for these guys, if it is linked with cards, you know, they always think it's like 100% gambling, and you're not putting too much time here. But I mean, the world of poker is so beautiful that you gotta actually not give up and just keep convincing them that it's skill. And once they see the money in the house, I guess they will keep quiet, and that's happening slowly, you know. So it's a game. It's a beautiful game, and people need to realize it. Not only my father, but all over India. You know, the awareness is happening now, slowly but surely. See lots of games happening, lots of tournaments. We have Patni with queens.
Ooh.
Wow, the ace 10 with the snap ball.
Nice
turns the flush draw. Wow.
Well played, Soldier.
Soldier.
Yeah, Soldier. going with the raise call there on 13 big blinds, which I think is
Yeah.
kind of interesting. I think maybe more conventional would just be to shove it in there, not try to
Exactly.
induce action from, like, say, if Kunal has king queen suited or a small pair there,
Yeah.
he would fold to the shove and
Fold or shove, yeah, that's what I do. Fold or shove there. I mean, betting
Yeah.
over there is just like maybe he's trying to steal the blinds or something like that, you know.
Or maybe
Yeah.
open, like what he did, like open and then fold is like not right, because you're already risking so much of a portion of your stack. So you prefer just jamming pre, right? Even I would. do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's exactly the point. You don't want to open and fold, and you just want to minimize their range as much as possible. You don't want to induce action at a final table. Maybe in another stage of the tournament, it's perfectly fine raise call because you want them to jam their ace five suited and their hands that you dominate, jack 10 suited, queen 10 suited, stuff like that. But you're not going to see that stuff as much at the final table.
Yeah. Well, Soldier must be having some sort of read on Kunal Patni. That's why he's like, oh, I'm sure I dominate him here. So that's why he called off, but well played on his behalf.
Manoj Kumar, his soldier, Mr.
course.
Manoj Kumar, he's finished 6th.
Yeah.
Well played.
For 1,15,354 rupees. We don't know if he satellited or not, but that's great ROI for the tournament and a good start.
Very nice.
We've got 5 left now. Patni is always the chip leader somehow or the other on the final table. Most of the time, whenever he's there, it's crazy how he does it. I'm always he's just doing it all the time. I'm actually one of the biggest fans of Kunal Patni's game.
Yeah.
That's why I'm gonna be rooting him and just.
What have you been up to, Siddhant, in Goa?
Well, I'm now in Goa. I was playing the FTS also, and took some time to come here and do some commentary. And it's a lot of fun. I must say it's a lot of fun doing commentary over here with you guys. And,
So, today we don't have Sam Rizavi here, but he's a big Bollywood fan. And if you had to give him a scene to reenact, what would you do? Which scene?
it's Sam's the same guy who speaks like the characters from Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes.
Like my precious
Like Gollum, right?
ring. Yeah,
It's pretty good.
I've seen him and he's really good actually with the talking like these guys. And I would love. Probably next time me and him we can do like a jam commentary or something and not talk like us, just talk like characters from different films and cartoons and this and that. It'll be
His
fun.
favorite movies are Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and Three Idiots. So.
It's good films to have favorite movies. Yeah.
Oh, Prashant is all in and he gets a call.
There you go.
Pocket
Getting
force.
called
But
by
Whoa.
GG Prashant.
There you go. Good game. Good game. Nuts today. It's just slamming it.
1,47,686 rupees and 5th position. That's
Yeah.
a
very,
great one.
very nice results. And certainly can't blame Kunal for calling with the fours. There's only a 5 big blind shove.
Yeah, he's just 25 years old from Bhopal. And he started the final table with just 20 bigs. So that's great.
We had another young player on the table, right? Who's just 20 years old. I think it was the first knockout, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sanish is also-
IAAPF or whatever.
Oh yeah, Shivam Khandelwal, who's from
Yeah.
Kolkata. Yes, he's 20 years old. Oh, 8 versus
Wow.
Kings.
Kunal with the kings here is
Whoa.
gonna. Born Trouble is going to be in some trouble.
Oh.
Snap. There you go.
Snap
Good game.
run out.
Good game.
Good game. Born Trouble. Born Trouble's making scores, a lot of scores, yeah? Born Trouble.
Right.
It's Vikranth, right? From Mumbai, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I read that he chopped the Millionaire Legends for
Yes.
40 lock. That's a pretty big score.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. The
It's-
Legends, I think it's 27,500 buy-in. And I think he's chopped it, yeah.
Well, we have Kunal with all the chips here now, and on my Mac in second position. We saw on my Mac get a little out of line while you guys were chatting earlier, opening Jack 6 offsuit on the button.
Look at that. Look
Wow.
at that.
Kunal
Who's this?
running pure.
I'm
What was this?
gonna let Peter join you guys. I thank you so much, both of you. Let's catch
Thank
up.
you, Muskan.
Thank
Yes,
you for
yes,
joining
yes.
us. It was
Thank
a
you,
pleasure to have
Muskan.
you as always.
Okay, good luck,
Always
boys. Good luck,
pleasure.
Kunal Patni. Let's do this. Okay.
Kepe. Kitne ka hai udo? Massive,
Pretty.
massively.
He did decide to just bet on the flop there with that trip deuces, and I kind of find that interesting. It's a pretty dry board, 7 deuce deuce rainbow, and you have the deuce. I wouldn't mind seeing a check there, just to hope your opponent picks up some more equity.
I would definitely check there to let my opponent just slowly suck him out a little bit, just get all more chips from him with like Hollywood, like wasting some time, because you never know that the person doesn't know that you're betting your deuce. It's like one in like not. You never do that, you probably fall in that hand. So trapping is the right way for that hand, I think.
Yeah, just allowing your opponent to pick up any amount of equity. You could turn a pair and be drawing dead. You could turn a draw and have very little equity against you, and be willing to put some chips in the pot. I kind of like checking there, but Kunal, he sticks and moves pretty well. He dances around the ring pretty well. So I'm sure he knows what he's doing, and he knows the history of these players. So I don't want to criticize him too much. I know he's an excellent player.
Yeah. He does it right. Whatever he does it.
Yeah. I'm just happy we get to watch the artistry at work today.
Yeah. And also, you can learn so much, for just watching these streams. As a player, you can just learn so many things. Like when do you make the right folds? When do you make the right moves? And these professionals for a very long time, I've been just seeing their game. Raghav, you have Kunal. You've got all these other players. Like even McFly's game, I watched a lot. And I've actually like really watched lots of streams with these guys, and I've learned a lot, and I've picked up all these moves these guys keep doing, which I probably wouldn't have thought about doing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of resources out there for anybody who's just a casual fan of poker to get better very, very quickly. There are world-class players streaming with hole cards exposed on Twitch. You get hole cards up final table broadcasts like this one. And,
exactly.
You tune in to watch these, and you get to watch the best players in the world, the best players in India in particular, in this final table, navigate their final tables with all the hole cards exposed. What a valuable experience, And for anybody who wants to learn about poker, you just can't really miss out on this kind of free content. I mean, I've been in the game for 15 years, and I still don't try to miss live streams. I love it.
Me too.
I absolutely enjoy watching it.
Even the big players, when these guys started streaming during COVID times, they were streaming so many of the online games on different, be it PokerStars, National, GG, Spartan, everywhere. You just watch them, and even an amateur can actually just learn so much and build his way up to being like a professional player, just watching streams and these guys, how they play, because online is completely different than to live poker, I think. The time you take, the snap calls, the positions you play, the kind of slowly but bankroll management you do, and everything's like all linked up, and you can just learn so much from these guys just watching them.
Yeah, and it's pretty interactive these days. And one of our pre-records, I was talking to Muskan about kind of how different poker is as far as a studying approach and academic approach to it these days, because you really have just like a wealth of resources. Before, when I first came up, you'd have to read a book, or watch like a training video, and it's a very passive way to learn. And now you have a Twitch streamer that you can go in, you can chat with the audience. You can even join their Discord forums and study with them that way. And all these groups emerging of people studying poker it's really turned from a passive way of studying to a much more active way. So you can really, if you're coming into poker now as a casual observer, you can turbocharge your game much, much quicker. And we're going to see an all-in confrontation here. Wow.
Double up for Sanish.
Yeah, Sanish with the ace-3, shoving blind versus blind, and king jack suited just not going to fold there. It'd be a big mistake if he did.
Well, looks like I've come back just in time.
Hi, Peter.
Welcome back,
guys.
Peter.
I thought there'll be a lot more fireworks there, but I think Muskan's left to go and have a word with hubby dearest after that early bust out. So
it was quite a sick hand, I must say. When you have the same hand and just like a little 1% favorite, 2% favorite, just because you're suited and you hit it runner. It's a little it's like that.
Just get there.
It's heart attack. Yeah.
Well, finally down to these three players, and I guess Kunal Patni is really riding that stack. He's the second chip lead right now, but it's been going well for him so far.
Yeah, and
he's,
if he'd won that King Jack suited to the Ace 3, he would just have all the chips heads up against on my Mac. But certainly can't blame him for calling the King Jack suited. Pretty sexy hand, and the Ace 3 very much just praying to see the King High in that spot. Ace 3 off, you're not super happy when you get snap called, but when they flip over King High, you got to be feeling a little bit better about it. We see Sanish here turning middle pair and on my Mac with top pair. So check black. I don't see the 8 folding here with such a strong kicker. And these blind on blind confrontations are very important in poker tournaments. A lot of chips change hands, small blind versus big blind. So these are spots, if you're looking for something to study up on in your game, these are spots that come up a lot of the time. So when you are studying and taking an academic approach to the game, you want to really be looking at the most common spots that come up. So rather than 100 big blind 3-bet pots and studying those, which don't come up very often, study some 20 big blind, small blind versus big blind limp pots, or and try to realize how to navigate those spots, because if you can master those, you're going to give yourself a huge advantage in poker tournaments, and you're going to be having the edge in those confrontations, and that's where all the chips change hands. Well, we see the queen take it down here. Pretty nice pot for him. 6 kind of killed the action. I guess he must have been pretty worried about his queen not having a good enough kicker there. I would have maybe liked to see a blocker bet, but certainly can't blame both of them for going check there.
Well, now that we're down to the final 3 players, let's run our viewers quickly through the payouts that are there. Everyone was guaranteed a minimum payout of 60,000 rupees at this final table of the double stack event. 7th place would get 86,000. You've got 115,000 for 6th place finish. 5th place took 1,47,000. 4th place 1,87,000. And then now to these final 3 players who are guaranteed 2.38 lakhs. And the runner-up this evening is going to get 3.33 lakhs. And of course, the person who will take it all will also get a pretty huge 5.28 lakhs as their prize for winning this tournament. And let's not forget, there's also some other nice stuff that's coming the way of the winner, which is an 18-karat gold medallion, the game face mask, and a special gift hamper as well. And let's not forget, the FTS leaderboard also in play here, with all of these players getting points on that FTS leaderboard, with 30 lakhs in play. And the winner of that leaderboard taking home 10 lakhs. So that's going to be a pretty sweet thing to also additionally battle for all the participants of this FTS 2.0.
I must say, these guys give massive gifts, huh? Like, you really want it, and you really play, work hard on your game and try to get these things. Everyone does it. And every tournament and every series, we have 50 more players coming in just to keep going on and win those, the medallion and get that little logo besides your name, and small things like that. And like Spartan, they always keep surprising you with different gifts, different tournaments. Like the double stack is one of a kind. Like, first time they've introduced this tournament, I think, on Spartan.
Yeah, this has been an interesting addition to the schedule. And well, as we see Kunal Patni hitting a set with his queens.
Wow, and Sanish 21 stepping out at the wrong time here, check raising with the King 6. I'm not so sure how much I like this move. I guess it's just a product of
wrong timing.
Yeah, it seems like everybody just has terrible timing against Kunal, right?
Yeah, he's just walked into the trap. So coy, and he's got exactly what he wanted in this hand, with almost a 1.3 million bet from Sanish on this one.
Yeah, he's flat calling slowly, huh?
Oh boy!
If it's nuts today and bluff tomorrow, I guess we know what day it is, right? I guess it's always today, so that he just always has the nuts, right?
He just always has it, Kunal. He just always has it.
It makes the game a lot easier when you have it.
He's gonna call the 6 pair. He's called the 6 pair. I don't know if he's making a hero call now.
That would be quite the hero call.
Yeah.
Well, he'll end up being his own villain if he calls this one off.
Yeah, good for Sanish.
Yeah,
Good for.
selling it back.
He realized that it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, certainly some heart though, going for the check raise there on the King 6. I mean, there's a lot of winning players that attack those board pairs, and try to rep something. And yeah, I kind of like it. Maybe on a final table isn't the best time to be trying stuff like that, but like you check raise and you hit a king, and now what do you do?
These guys are like really solid players, all the three of them. It's quite. I played with all of them, and they're very solid players, I must say. On my Mac, Sanish, and of course Kunal.
Well, I think on my Mac maybe ruined that illusion for me a little bit by opening the Jack 6 offsuit on the button earlier. So looks like Kunal is playing pretty solid. This is pretty much what I expected. I was talking with Peter about this earlier. This is pretty much what I expected from Kunal, to kind of keep it low key, hide behind a rock for the final table, let the short stacks bust out, let the other big stacks play their hands, maybe expose some weaknesses, and then really just play solid until you get shorthanded. And then when you get shorthanded, you amp up your game, and that's what good players do. Their edge comes from the shorthanded game. So them getting too aggressive in a 9-handed game or 8-handed game, beginning of the final table, doesn't really make much sense.
Up and down, straight draw for Kunal. Yeah, let's see if he's just let out a bet over there.
This is a big-looking pot here.
Yeah, he missed.
He missed and has one of the worst hands you can get to the river with. I kind of feel like if you're bluffing this hand, though, and you're getting to the river with this hand, you're probably bluffing too much.
Well, he's really thinking about it.
Is he going to go for the glory?
That's like a proper Hollywood.
Super tough spot for the Queen Jack if he does jam here.
Proper Hollywood. Very, very, very good bet. I must say, there's a good
Very
bet.
interesting.
Yeah, very dodgy bet. I thought he was going to push everything there.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting bet. It's really targeting 9x and 7x, I would think, rather than like a strong Jack or King. I think if Kunal knew what his hand was, he probably wouldn't be making this size. But he's playing against a perceived range here, and I think he thinks a lot of that perceived range is 9x and 7x. So yeah, we do see on my Mac make the call. That's a pretty good price to be getting with Queen Jack, and I think when Kunal sees that hand, he probably wasn't expecting a fold from that hand anyways.
Yeah.
Just making the bet against perceived range. So we see him shove it in here for 12.5 big blinds with the King 9.
It's going to be shove now, I think, because the blinds are all like everyone's like got hardly any chips left.
Yeah, and then when on my Mac has a lot of chips, but when he's playing, he's basically playing the effective stack of the next biggest stack, which is only about 14 big blinds, so.
Well, I've got a contest question that I've got to put out there before we see some more action. The question is, of course, who is the first ever female poker player in the world? That's right. Well, we just had International Women's Day yesterday, so it's quite appropriate that we ask this question. So who is the first ever female poker player in the world? Make sure you get your answers with your Spartan Poker ID into the comment section. And remember, the giveaway are 3 seats into the SATI to the 85 lakh guaranteed FTS big game, and those tickets are worth 1100 rupees. That'll take place later tonight at 10 p.m. That's satellite. So make sure you get a chance to score one of those 3 tickets by putting your answers in there. And as we get back to the action, Siddhant, आपको क्या लगता है? Do you think Kunal Patni is still very much the favorite? क्योंकि he's got the experience here for sure.
नहीं, वो क्वीन जैक वाला हैंड थोड़ा उन्होंने अलग सा खेल दिया. वो 10 जो ब्लफ मारे थे, I think he should have probably gone all in over there. But there you go.
Wow, just like that.
There you go. Just like that.
I didn't even get a chance to get
We
that.
started talking.
Wow.
To answer your question, Peter, I'd say he's probably not a favorite.
Well, there you go, guys. We've finally come to the end of this particular tournament, and yes, we have On My Mac, who is the winner of this event. Man, I cannot believe I got that contest question in the nick of time, I guess.
Just in the nick of time, bro. Just in the nick of time.
So Ankit Omprakash is the winner. Yeah, well played to all the players here. Kunal Patni, unfortunately, not going the distance, but our winner of this double stack event here at the FTS 2.0 is Ankit Omprakash, playing as On My Mac. Well done to the champion. And of course, he's got a lot of prize money coming his way, 5.28 lakhs to be precise, along with an 18-carat gold medallion, the game face mask, and a special gift hamper. We're going to try and get both the players onto a call if we can. But in the meantime, let me ask, first, Kevin, any very, very noticeable, there were a couple of missteps, I think, that happened here. Do you feel any one in particular could have been like absolutely avoided?
I didn't see too many egregious errors at this final table. It seemed like people had a pretty good strategy coming in. There was a few minor things here or there with hand selection or a couple of lines that maybe I would have liked to see a different line. But overall, very, very exciting final table, a good kickoff to our series, and really cool seeing a short stack come in and take down an event. I was kind of wondering beforehand if one of these short stacks would be able to double up and spin up and make an impact on the final table, and that's exactly what happened with On My Mac, spinning up from 7 to 40 big blinds, and then winning that big pot against Kunal with the Queen Jack three-handed, which propelled him to the eventual victory. So congratulations to On My Mac, a very deserving win, and hopefully we'll see you back at more final tables and chasing for more leaderboard points and another gold medallion.
And speaking of that, Siddhant, obviously आपने काफी सारे ये tournaments खेल लिए across various series. In your general thought process as far as playing a schedule of events is concerned, आप कितना focus करते हो on the leaderboard prizes that are there, like 30 lakhs in this case, उसका कितने मायने रखता है as far as that affecting your decisions when you are picking your schedule or even in the course of playing the game?
For someone like me who's doing other things also, like film acting, doing my music stuff and all that, I still try my best to catch as many tournaments as I can, because the leaderboards, I feel, is just like a bonus thing on the side that you actually get, just giving time. So I came quite close in the top 10, actually, in one of the series last year. I was ranked 15th or 16th, which was my closest to the top 10 that I've come. But I think it's a great thing that it's very tiring, I must say. The whole schedule is close to like 14 hours, 15 hours. And I think you really, really need to sleep well, eat well, have a good, workout and meditate and things like that to keep going, because poker can only be played properly for so many long hours if you have good health, good concentration power, good sleep, good food. Otherwise, you're not going to be doing well mentally for the game. You have to take care of yourself. That's the main thing. To play such long hours, even be it live, you're going 12 hours, 14 hours if you're playing the main event in the World Series. And I've experienced these things, and just because I'm not really taking care of myself because I'm so hectic, it's very tiring. And when you're tired, it's very difficult to play good poker. That's what I think.
Well, there you have it, folks, from words from the wise about having both a physical and mental approach to playing your best game of poker. I just want to come back to giving you the answer to the first contest question that we asked you on top of the stream, which is what was the longest ever poker game? And we've got a couple of right answers there. Vikas Bansal, playing with the ID Vicky Yadav 9629, is one of the winners. And the second winner is Amit Sharma, playing with the ID Guddu Hero. And both these players have given the right answer of 8 years. That's how long the longest game of poker has gone on for. 8 years, 5 months, and 3 days to be precise. That's a lot of sitting, I have to say. And,
I can't even believe it's 8 years. How is like, oh my god, that's quite something.
I mean, I cannot play an 8-hour-long tournament online. I mean, this must be crazy the way they've gone about it across so many
What
years.
year was it? What years were it?
Clearly before online poker, I'm sure.
Like 70s or 60s or something.
Yeah, it has to be in one of those decades for sure. So Vikas Bansal and Amit Sharma, congratulations to both of you. You have got that ticket into the satellite. So we should see you getting into those tournaments very, very shortly. And hopefully you'll be on one of these FTS final tables where we can talk about your gameplay as well. Now, we are very, very shortly going to connect with both the top two finishers. I'm just going to try and connect the call. Just a second, please. Right, and in the time I'm connecting to both our top two finishers, let's take a look at the payouts that are going to be shown on your screen right now for this FTS double stack event.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Kunal. Give me a second. I'm just going to connect Ankit as well on the call, and then we can have a chat.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Ankit. This is Peter from Spartan Poker. Congratulations, man, on the win. We're going to have a call with you and Kunal. Are you ready to go?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, cool. Just give me 1 second. I'll just merge the calls
Sure.
and then we can have a chat.
Sure.
पटनी को फोन करो.
And as Siddhant Kapoor has said, Patni ko phone karo. Patni is on the line, Kunal and Kunal Patni, and of course our winner, Ankit Omprakash. Welcome to the live stream, gentlemen. And Ankit, right up top, congratulations from all of us here in the commentary booth. Congratulations on that terrific win.
Thank you so much.
So,
Thanks a lot, Peter. Thanks a lot.
Kunal, I mean, by the time it came into the final stages of that final table, we were fully expecting that you'll go the distance, but I've been told not so shyly by some of the others, always the bridesmaid wala situation hai, but that's very unfair considering you've had quite a few top finishes and titles in your career. But did you feel that, there were any particular missteps that you made in the course of the FT?
Oh, yeah. I think the hand where I lost all the chips to Ankit was obviously a big misstep. I mean, I guess I could have played the hand the same way on the flop in the turn for sure. River, I have to 100% jam there, and I don't know why. I just tried to go for a value bet bluff there instead of jamming. I have to always jam, and that's what I actually thought, and I banked also. I mean, I have to jam, irrespective of whether Ankit is calling there or not. That value bet bluff just gives him such a great price to call with his good jack or a king for sure. He's never folding. I was actually trying to target a 7 or a 9 if he has that. That's what I was trying to fold, and maybe that's why I went for the value bet bluff instead of going for the jam. But yeah, I think other than that, I think played the final table pretty decently, and obviously just running good also. So very, very feeling extremely bad about missing the medallion. That's the biggest regret that I have. But Ankit played like a boss. I mean, he came to the final table with 6 big blinds, one of the shortest stacks, if not the shortest. And for him to have won from there, super GG to him. Well played, bro.
Well, Kunal, I have to say that no one is getting any medallions except for a certain English gentleman. So even though Ankit has won that medallion, it's not really going his way. But Siddhant is keen to ask a question to Kunal. You were looking to ask a question to Kunal, Siddhant?
Kunal, I wanted to speak to you, and I really thought you would have jammed that hand, in the end. What is the 29K bet, brother? Knowing you, I knew you were going to jam, but I don't know. It's just like the first ever mistake I've seen you made in life, probably, I guess. properly, like a proper mistake.
I'm gonna convey that question. Siddhant was like very sure that you're gonna jam that hand, but he was very taken aback with the 29,000 bet that went out there. So he was just a little taken aback with that one.
Like I said, that was definitely a big misstep at that point in time. And I gave you my reasoning. I was just trying to make him fold at 7-9. I obviously did put him on a hand as strong as Queen Jack over there, and I know that he's never folded Queen Jack to that bet sizing. And 9 out of 10 times I'm just, jamming that. The way I played that hand pre-flop until the river, I'm 9 out of 10 times I'm jamming there. But I guess there are those mistakes which you make. Unfortunately, I made a big mistake at the wrong time. The interesting thing to ask Ankit is, was he calling a jam there on the river?
I was just going to ask him that.
That's what everyone is asking.
Yeah.
Well, Ankit, the question's on you, man. Would you have?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think he has a queen also, so he's not folding. If he had something else, he might just still fold. I might think blocking the straight over there with his queen. I think it's.
But like knowing Kunal and his play, like he's capable of taking those spots in such final tables and all. I have to call in that scenario, I guess, a few times with those pairs.
So clearly that was one of the turning points in that final table. Any other particular hands, Ankit, that you felt sort of turned the tide in your favor?
Actually, I was pretty short. Like I lost a 34 BB pot like when there were 11 left, and after that I came back from 3 BBs. So I was happy to make it to the final table, and like winning with queens against McFly, and then like got really lucky with the ace king suited. So clearly,
that was quite brutal, actually.
Correct. Yeah. So
ace king suited.
Apologies to
Ace king suited is something McFly is never going to forget.
Just got into a couple of spots and ran decent, and just wanted to. And these guys are really good players. Ball trouble, Sanish and all Kunal himself. So I was just trying to ladder and take decent spots. That's about it.
Well, McFly's elimination certainly upset one of our commentators, so maybe there's a little hand-holding that needs to be done right there. So, Ankit, just wanted to get your perspective on the rest of the schedule. How have you decided to go about it? Are you playing everything? Have you picked and chosen certain key tournaments that you're only going to focus on? What's the rest of the schedule for you looking like at this FTS 2.0?
Well, actually, the timings are pretty decent. So, like, one can grind the full schedule, one after the other. So, yeah, I'm just going to start with my grind now and then, just play back-to-back tournaments, all 3 of them today. And I'm looking forward to playing all of them, obviously. So,
all right.
The same thing for me. IOCC obviously was a huge long grind, but with these tournaments starting at 6 o'clock, it just makes sense to play all of them. And with this second race finish today, I also managed to move to 3rd place on the leaderboard, so that just gives me an added incentive to not miss any of the tournaments.
Yeah, Kunal is like really good with these leaderboards. He always like jumps to the top.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been lucky this series till now. Cashed everything that I've played till now, all of them. So this it's good. I mean, it's not a long grind, so starting from that's 7:30. That's and for 5 days it's pretty decent. So yes, I'm going to be playing the whole thing now.
Well, it's going to be a packed schedule for all of these grinders, and the top 2 finishers here, Kunal Patni in 2nd place at this double stack, and our winner, Ankit Omprakash, playing as On My Mac, who's taken down the title and that top prize of 5.28 lakhs. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this call. Congratulations once again on your finishes and title, and we hope to see more of you again over the course of the next 5 or 6 days of this FTS schedule. Thank you once again, and good luck for the remaining of the series.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter. I really won that medallion, so I'm hoping that I do end up winning it in one of these ones. Otherwise, you told me it's going to that English gentleman by the name of Shivam, is it?
I believe so. I believe calls are coming from England as we speak.
I'll have to butter up Sam now to tell me that medallion.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much once again. Congratulations. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Well, Well, that's Kunal Patni and Ankit Omprakash, who had just joined us on the call right after this final table of the double stack has ended. Ankit Omprakash taking it down. Gentlemen, final thoughts before we leave. I think it was a pretty interesting final table. We had a mix of some very, very interesting hands and some even more interesting plays. I think, Kevin, a couple of them definitely took you by surprise.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the surprising thing was just the short stack coming in and taking the whole thing down. I mean, that just goes to show any short stack that comes in these final tables has a chance, you know. So don't give up. And then also, I think really one of the highlights of the final table was the Ace King losing to the Ace King suited, and that, I mean, that happens to all of us, and it can even happen on final tables. You might think it only happens to you, but this is just a part of the game. These things happen, and hopefully we'll see him dust off and come back even more focused and put up some more results. But yeah, really the big takeaway is just the short stack coming in and fighting and being able to pick good spots and accumulate some chips and take it down. So very well played by him. I hope to see on my Mac a couple more final tables.
Well, given that they're going to be grinding both of them, in fact, Ankit and Kunal, I'm sure we'll be seeing more of them as we go along. Siddhant, as we leave, aapke final thoughts on what we've seen so far. It was a fairly quick table, as it has been across the series. But any sort of highlights in your mind, given that this is the first time you've joined us on the live stream?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an interesting table because it's like a T20 game, you know, this poker thing, you know, the underdog just suddenly plays well and just holds on to his nerves and just comes on top and just goes and wins it. So that's what I guess on my Mac did, and the Ace King hand was really unlucky, and Kunal's bet few things here and there. A lot of good players on that table. A lot of learning to do there. A lot of learning to just so much knowledge from these good players that the live streams give. So I think it was quite a fast table, a lot of blinds going fast, and everyone's just pushing towards the end. I wish they would just increase the blind level timing a little bit more. But otherwise, a lot of fun. I had a great time over here.
Wonderful to hear that. And on that note, it's time to say goodbye. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Muskan Sethi, who was very kind and gracious enough to join us at the last minute on this stream, and our two commentators here, Siddhant Kapoor and Kevin McPhee. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this live stream.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Peter.
And we will see you tomorrow evening for yet another final table at this FTS 2.0, which is brought to you by SpartanPoker.com. So make sure you come back and get in tune to the action as we bring you all of this exciting, fun stuff from the India Poker Championships Final Table Series. Till tomorrow evening, it's goodbye from me.